Right now, the biggest companies on the planet are spending money at a scale that's honestly hard to wrap your head around. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, they're all racing to build massive AI data centers, campus-sized facilities popping up across the US, Europe, and Asia, consuming resources, space, and compute as fast as they come online. Inside these new data centers, tens of thousands of specialized chips, purpose-built to power the next wave of AI. Some estimates put the total spend on AI infrastructure at over $2 trillion by the end of this decade. Let me put that in perspective. That's roughly the entire annual economic output of Italy or Canada, gone into concrete and steel buildings full of chips and compute. And here's the one question I want to answer about this massive gamble. What if the demand never justifies any of this? For most of the internet era, data centers were just background infrastructure. They kept your email running, your Instagram scrolling, your Netflix buffering at 2 a.m. Important, sure, but not exactly exciting. The workloads were predictable, the growth was manageable. Nobody was writing breathless headlines about server farms, and the local city halls weren't filled with angry homeowners protesting the latest data center permits. Then AI showed up and created a whole new reality. Training a modern AI model isn't like building an e-commerce website or dating app. It means processing trillions of data points while running mind-boggling calculations across thousands of processors simultaneously for weeks, sometimes months. Those AI processors burn through electricity at a rate of 3 to 5 times more than web or cloud servers. The chip doing most of this heavy lifting? Made by Nvidia. Originally designed for video games, turns out those chips are weirdly perfect for AI because they can run massive numbers of calculations in parallel. A large AI training cluster today can have tens of thousands of these GPUs all running at once. All of that has to occupy some physical space, in a building, on a power grid, on massive plots of land. And most of that infrastructure only exists on paper, stuck in design, review, and planning, and these developers know it, which is why we see these massive pushes to build now. Global data centers consumed around 415 terawatt hours of electricity in 2024, about 1.5% of all the electricity used on Earth. And that number is climbing roughly 12% every year, driven almost entirely by AI. That kind of growth triggered something bigger than just more construction. It triggered an arms race. You know, one of the best ways to support small YouTube channels like mine is to subscribe. If you like the content and you'd like to see more of it, consider subscribing. Back to the episode. Once the industry figured out that AI performance scales with computing power, meaning more compute, better AI, the strategic logic became obvious. Build more than your competitors or fall behind. All the major players are driving this insatiable demand for compute. Microsoft through its partnership with OpenAI, Amazon is expanding AWS, and Google is building custom AI supercomputers. Meta alone has committed tens of billions of dollars to train its next generation of models. Analysts think hyperscale tech companies before long could be spending close to $500 billion per year on AI infrastructure. OpenAI has floated plans to spend over $1 trillion in compute just for its own use. And that money isn't just buying chips, it's funding an entire industrial market. Specialized hardware, high-speed networking, cooling systems, land, buildings, and enough electricity to power small countries. And that's what doesn't get enough attention. This $2 trillion bet isn't just about the chips. It's not even about the AI models. It's about the buildings. Some of these data centers are larger than 50 football fields. The average new AI data center is designed to deliver 100 megawatts of compute. It currently costs about $30 million per kilowatt of capacity. That means a new AI data center could cost as much as $5 billion to complete. Inside, row after row of server racks loaded with GPUs connected by high-speed cables, kept alive by industrial cooling systems running around the clock. The whole point is simple. Produce as much computing power from a single data center as physically possible. But the bigger you build, the bigger the problem you've now created. Because the real bottleneck in all of this, it's electricity. Here's an overly simple way to think about AI data centers. They're essentially factories that eat electricity and turn it into compute. And they are really, really hungry. US data centers alone consumed around 183 terawatt hours in 2024, over 4% of our country's total electricity demand. Projections suggest that could be more than doubled by 2030. Globally, the IEA thinks data center electricity demand could hit 945 terawatt hours by the end of this decade. For context, that's roughly the entire electricity consumption of Japan. A single large AI data center can use as much power as 100,000 homes. And that's where this whole gamble starts to get scary. You can build a data center in 2 to 3 years, but building new substations, power plants, and transmission lines, that can take a decade. Just getting the proper permits and a grid connection can take 7 years. In most regions, the grid was never designed for anything close to this level of demand. Northern Virginia, the largest data center hub in the world, is already straining the regional power supply. Utilities all over the US are scrambling to figure out how to feed these things, which raises another question we should ask. Have we been here before? In the late 1990s, telecom companies looked at the internet and made their own generational bet. Bandwidth demand was going to explode, so they built fiber optic cables across entire continents, under oceans, connecting everything to everything. And then the dot-com bubble burst. For years, that fiber just sat there, dark, unused. A lot of the companies that financed it went bankrupt. It looked like a classic speculative development, except it wasn't, not in the long run. Eventually, internet demand caught up. Video streaming, cloud computing, mobile data, all of it ended up consuming that wasted capacity. The lesson here is about timing as much as anything. Infrastructure booms can look like bubbles in the short term and essential foundations in the long term, sometimes both at once, depending on when you're looking. So how does this AI infrastructure build-out compare to that fiber bet? This $2 trillion gamble will have massive consequences, good and bad. What if AI does become the dominant computing platform of the next era? Software runs on it, industries are rebuilt around it, and the technology genuinely needs this much infrastructure. In that case, today's spending looks prescient. What if we are massively overbuilding? AI models are getting more efficient, fast. There's a real chance that by the time a new data center is completed, the chips they installed are already obsolete. If that trend continues, the industry could end up sitting on billions of dollars of unwanted capacity. Some infrastructure booms end in waste and write-downs. Others eventually become the crucial backbone of industries in a way only those high-stake gamblers predicted. It's still too early to know which this is. We may be building the next crucial layer of infrastructure that supports everything from AI to quantum computing, hurtling us past the next step change of our technological evolution. Or we may be building massive concrete dinosaurs that are destined for extinction. Every major technological revolution in history has needed some kind of physical infrastructure first. Railroads were built to accelerate the industrial economy. Power grids were run before the world could participate in the electric age. Fiber was trenched and hung worldwide to scale the internet. Now it's data centers, power plants, semiconductor manufacturing, and cooling systems. The AI revolution isn't just happening in software and chips, it's happening in concrete, steel, and gigawatts, places most people never think about. And right now, the world is placing a multi-trillion-dollar bet that artificial intelligence will be worth all of it. Betting this will all pay off, one data center at a time. That's it for this episode. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.